This is a mini lesson analysis on Marth versus Falco. Could drop down from the ledge. If you drop down from the platform rather than this like weird full hop better, like you could have set up a power shield better or like some kind of like take laser timing. Like this full hop generally is not really doing you much favors unless if it's like kind of defensive, usually not full hop forward. And so this is kind of a classic where like you react to Falco crossing you up, so that must mean that like, you know, you gotta move out of the way. But sometimes because Falco just doesn't have a strong grab game, you could just like keep holding shield anyways. Like notice how you drop shield a couple frames later, and if you just hold shield, well then you're good. Like you might not get a strong punish, but at least you're not dead. So kind of keep that in mind with Falco's pressure, that you could just keep holding shield and it's okay. Definitely should have run off up B. Like run off up B because Falco's up B has no hitbox. You could just light out the flames. So big inefficiency with your punish game and edge guarding, and I don't know why like the VOD just froze up. Whatever. Yeah, so big thing that is a huge flaw is that like your overall like the way how you're taking lasers is like not amazing. You could have like, you know, shielded lasers and then like jump back fair. You could have attempted to crouch power shield and then try to reverse off of it. It seems like instead the goal is to just shield grab, which is like the worst possible, one of the worst possible responses to a laser. And developing a more proper anti-laser game would go a long way. Try to up air at that percent rather than up tilt. Up tilt's good at low mid percent, it's not good at 70. And yeah, like, you know, countering is, you know, countering or like that's probably not gonna do you a lot of favors. And yeah, I mean, like execution also just doesn't look very clean. I mean, Falco is hard to execute around. And my big advice when it comes to developing better execution with, you know, executing things like JC grab and like power shields and, you know, yeah, like, because for example, you missed JC grab there, is try to build up like deliberate execution with like building blocks, like, you know, visual, like try to create timings of like, okay, this is what it's like to take a laser and then timing a dash after this much hit stun from the laser and then timing a pivot grab, which is like they're all kind of separate, like they're all separate, like because melee is a complex game and it's hard to improve your execution, but when you kind of build it with those like categorized execution blocks, like, you know, take laser, dash, and pivot grab, and if you have trouble doing a pivot grab, then block, like, you know, layer it with, oh, I am dashing for this many frames and then I'm turning around, jump, and then grab in order to do a pivot grab. You know, when you chunk your execution kind of that way, it's much easier. It's because, like, you know, it could feel like you're just like mashing buttons to, you know, get moving in melee. But if you do that, then you will never feel comfortable in this game. And by chunking deliberate execution, it will do a lot to close the gap. It's not going to immediately benefit you, but I think in the long term, if you chunk your execution that way, you know, you won't just be flailing around, because, you know, Falco is that character that punishes poor execution. I mean, that's just what it is at the end of the day, is that like the execution is just not very strong. Also, the recovery wasn't very strong. You should never double jump side B. But if you try to at least chunk your execution in, like, you know, categories, like how I described, that's one way to go about it. And if you have any questions, just let me know, because Falco is really hard and improving your execution in melee is not easy, but it's doable.